Hello and welcome to Levant TV Headlines. A Palestinian man has been killed overnight during an Israeli military operation in the Qalandiya refugee camp near Ramallah in the West Bank. Top US diplomat John Kerry will meet Chief Palestinian negotiator Saeb Erekat, hoping to avert a diplomatic crisis over a UN bid to force Israel to withdraw from Palestinian land. The British Embassy in Cairo says it has resumed services to the public 9 days after they were suspended over security concerns about the mission's main building. 7 people have been arrested in Morocco and Spain in a probe into a network recruiting women to join the jihadist Islamic State group in Iraq and Syria. And at least 126 people, most of them children, were killed when Taliban gunmen stormed a school in the Pakistani city of Peshawar, taking hundreds of students hostage in the bloodiest insurgent attack in the country in years. Now let's take a look at the top headlines in today's newspapers in the Middle East. Starting with the Egypt Independent, which leads reporting that a human rights organization says more than 600 minors have been confined pending investigation for more than 8 months in a security camp north of Cairo. The paper also reports that Minister of Local Development, Major General Adel Labib, says the demarcation of the borders of governorates in Egypt comes in the framework of a comprehensive national scheme for urban development aimed at doubling the patch of urbanism. From Lebanon, the Daily Star leads reporting that MP Walid Jumblat says that no progress has been made in the Lebanese hostage crisis, refusing to give false hopes to the families of the kidnapped servicemen. The paper also reports that police dismantled illegal kiosks and booths set up across Tripoli as the Internal Security Forces continues its sweeping campaign against unlicensed coffee and snack stands in the northern city. From the UAE, the Khalij Times leads reporting that Australian security forces opened fire. They stormed the Sydney cafe where several hostages were being held at gunpoint in a dramatic end to a standoff that had dragged on for more than 16 hours, killing 2 people, including the gunman. The paper also reports that supporters of the party of Pakistan's Imran Khan shut down major roads in the eastern city of Lahore in the latest round of protests against the government. Now let's take a look at the top Middle East headlines in the UK papers. The Guardian leads its Middle East news, reporting that a prominent American political analyst has been denied entry to Egypt and deported in an escalation of the government's crackdown on political opposition that has been interpreted as a warning to foreign critics of its policies. In a separate development, the authorities sent 439 civilians to military trial in a single stroke, making use of new legislation that gives the country's powerful army jurisdiction over large parts of the civil infrastructure. The Telegraph leads its Middle East news, reporting that Israeli soldiers shot and killed a Palestinian during an arrest raid in a refugee camp in the occupied West Bank. Witnesses said that residents of Qalandiya refugee camp threw stones at the Israeli soldiers, and the man killed, 20-year-old Mahmoud Adwan, was watching from the roof of his home when he was shot. The Independent reports that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today mounted a last-ditch effort to thwart a Palestinian and Arab bid to pass a UN Security Council resolution calling for Israeli withdrawal from the West Bank within 2 years. Mr. Netanyahu met US Secretary of State John Kerry in Rome to lobby for an American veto after issuing statements ruling out such withdrawal, even if it is passed by the Security Council. Now let's take a look at the top Middle East headlines in international papers. From China, the Global Times reports that delegations from US and Iran continued bilateral meetings over Tehran's disputed nuclear program after Monday's engagements between the two sides. Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, who heads Iran's delegation, was reported to have said that Monday's meeting covered extensive discussions on the entire subjects, particularly on the issue of sanctions. And finally, Germany's Deutsche Welle reports that rebel fighters linked to Al-Qaeda have taken control of 2 military bases in North Syria, striking an important victory over government forces, controlling most of Idlib province. And For more updates, please visit levant.tv. Thanks for watching. Be sure to join us again tomorrow. Bye for now.